that we have a 15-minute time limit for our presentation, so I'd ask you to keep your presentation to that time parameter. Thank you, Mr. Grant.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Odette McGrath, as you well know, and I reside at 31 Lackey Road, Lattimore Lake, in the city of St. John. I've been a resident of St. John all my life, and became a resident of Lattimore Lake back in 1976 when my husband and I met. And Tim, my husband, has lived out in that area since 1970. The reason I'm here this evening is to make you aware that we are tax-paying citizens of St. John, which I believe we have the right to say where our taxpayers' paying dollars are being spent. If you're not aware of it, we were amalgamated in 1967, which makes us a part of the city of St. John, as well as everybody else in St. John. Early this year, we had our bus services removed in Lattimore Lake. We fought to have these services within our community a few years ago. We were given services, but the services were not feasible for the residents in our community. The residents accepted what St. John Transit could provide, and basically we want the bus service back in our community. I'm sure there are other ways to provide this service to our community without a great expense to the city. Why not try smaller buses where the ridership in our city is low and provide services acceptable to the residents in our area? I honestly don't understand how we can provide bus services to residents outside our city who don't pay taxes in our city and they don't have to pay for parking, and yet we have the gall to take away the service to each and every tax-paying citizen in Lattimore Lake and other areas in St. John. I don't know if you're aware or not, but the residents in Lattimore Lake have to walk at least, if not more, than 2 miles just to get to a bus service in our community. And a resident would have to pay probably about $15 for a cab one way just to get to the mall. And as far as I'm concerned, this is a service we're being charged for, bus service in our taxes, and I think it's something that should be there and provided for every single citizen here in St. John. Okay. I read a commentary in the Telegraph Journal issued on October the 9th by Tom McGraw. The issue was smaller buses are not the answer. Well, I believe Tom McGraw has missed the point in the use of smaller buses in our city. What seems reasonable and practical to the residents in Lattimore Lake is when the ridership is at a lower rate in our city at certain times of the day, smaller buses could then be used, saving us on the price of diesel or gas, helping the environment, and save wear and tear on the larger buses, not to mention the wear and tear on our city roads. With all respect to Tom McGraw, Lattimore Lake and other low ridership areas in our city would benefit from smaller buses and would also be a benefit to our transit system. Tom McGraw mentioned the cost of a large bus is $400,000 and would last approximately 18 years. He also mentioned the cost of a smaller bus, which would cost $100,000 and last approximately 5 years. Well, if you do the math, if you think of it this way, purchasing a smaller bus at the cost of $100,000 every 5 years works out to a total of 20-year service for the price of $400,000, which would give us 2 years more service than a large bus at the cost of $400,000. And maybe then we'd receive services beneficial for the residents in our area. Ridership might even increase, right? And are you aware that we also have lost our community policing officer in our community? This is just a part that I want to add on here that I had forgotten to add into the original letter. And I guess our community doesn't deal with crimes out in Lattimore Lake, right? Maybe that's why we don't need the bus services either. Anyways, I'll get back to what I came here for originally. I attended the ward meeting, and under the heading Transit, it shows there are 3 reasons why they provide this service. One is vibrant economy, second one is livable community, and the third one was the environmental health. I guess this doesn't apply to the residents in Lattimore Lake. Again, I'm going to stipulate every resident in St. John should have access to transportation. I have a woman that lives out on up on Lattimore Lake Road, and she works down the Hickey Road store. And she came to me last week and told me it costs her $22 a day just to go to work, back and forth, because she has to take a cab. And that's just to Hickey Road from Lattimore Lake. The next concern in our community is our road conditions. Why are our roads not being looked after? We were promised years ago that all of the Lattimore Lake Road would be paved in 4 stages, 1 stage each year. The first 2 stages were completed, but here we are still waiting for the other 2 stages to be done. We have waited so long for the last 2 stages to be completed that the parts that were done now have to be redone. What about sidewalks that were and are badly needed for safety reasons due to the amount of truck traffic the residents have been dealing with due to the gravel extraction in our community. At the same workshop we attended under roadway maintenance service, the reason for delivering roadway maintenance are: 1 is public safety, 2 is vibrant economy, and 3 is the quality of life. And again, the residents in Lattimore Lake do not qualify. We also have concern about snow removal in our area. Last year, the day of our first snowstorm, I went and picked up my granddaughter Abigail at Champlain Heights School. I couldn't believe the road conditions and was appalled to see walking students walking on the roads with cars sliding everywhere because the sidewalks were not plowed. When I got home, I called the city to ask why the streets and sidewalks were not plowed, and I was told that there were 7 plows broken down, and they didn't have the money in the budget to repair them. This should have been taken care of before our first snowstorm, and hopefully it's going to be done this year, before the next snowstorm. Because again, we have to get back to basic practicality, safety for the kids and for people like ourselves and for seniors. We're not all rich people. We don't want big fancy things, but we need practicality in our city, and that's what our taxes should be paying for. This brings me to the next and biggest concerns we have in our community, and that's the Plan St. John. We've come to City Council for over 16 years concerning the problems of dust, noise, truck traffic, and safety conditions for our children while waiting for their school buses, due to the amount of gravel pits again in our area. And you want to use our area for a resource area. Boys, that really cracks me up, I have to tell you that. What's with that? Years ago, there was an RF zoning which allowed the opening of gravel pits in any area in St. John zoned to RF without the ability of residents having a say in the matter. Now we feel that the new resource area zoning will allow the same thing to happen, leaving the residents in our area, again, with no say in what goes on within our community. I have a real problem with that. You take our money for property taxes, and at the same time you allow these pits in our area, destroying our quality of life, putting our children's life in danger, and depreciating the value of our homes. Not to mention destruction to our roads too. But you continue to charge us the same tax rate as everyone else in this city. Does that make sense to you? Doesn't to me. I continue to hear that you are looking for ways to grow our population in this city. If quality of life is not taken more seriously, and you try to tell people where they can and cannot live, more people will move out of our city, including me and my family, and less people will move in. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if you think we're going to have to deal with another gravel pit in Lattimore Lake, you're going to see a lot of people wanting to move out of this city. I think we've dealt with plenty over the years, and we're still dealing with a lot. I'm not even going to get into that, so we don't have the time for that tonight. So why don't we take the time and effort to come to you with our concerns whenever there is new application for another gravel pit in our area, to have you vote in favor against the rezoning. This is something that's bothered me for quite a few years, and I'm bringing this up tonight. And then have the Planning Advisory Committee hand out temporary permits to the company who were denied their rezoning in our area, allowing them to continue extracting from residential property. Does that make sense to you? We take the time to come here and tell you what's going on in our community, what we want and what we don't want. We come here, give you all the information that you need to see what's going on. Mayor and council vote against another gravel pit in our community. And then Planning Advisory Committee turns around and hands these companies temporary permits to continue hauling off a residential property? What are you telling all the people here in St. John? What kind of plans do you make?
Ms. McGrath, I'm just going to ask you to step back from the microphone just a touch. I think.
Am I too close?
Yeah, you're just a little too close. No, that's okay.
I probably don't even need that. Sound quite loud.
No, we can hear you well.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. I guess what I need to say is, over the years, I've never been a person to get involved with what's going on like this. Living where I live now, I've had to. Not because I wanted to, but I had to because of what we were dealing with out here. I love St. John. I've been a resident of St. John all my life, and I'm sure a lot of people have. But in saying that, we've got to be fair to the whole community as a whole. Okay? You can't take the core of the city and always focus on the core of the city, and that's where all our money is going to. We're part of the city. We want to be part of the city, and we want to be respected as residents, just like everybody else. But we need to get what we need for our tax-paying monies, too, for what we pay for our taxes. I believe St. John had better decide what is more important to St. John, people or aggregate. The best resource in St. John is the people. The people are the most important resource in St. John. So when we look at Plan St. John, please think of that before you decide to open up our area to use that as a resource area. We've had enough to deal with over the years. We don't want any more. And here's another thing. You're always looking at ways to bring in an income or to bring in more property taxes, right? Tax base, right? That's what it's all about. So we can afford to get all these things done that we need done in the city. Oh my goodness. All these gravel pit permits that you people give out to gravel pit operators, isn't there a plan they're supposed to use that to build homes with afterwards? Think of all the homes that could be built out our way. Look at the money you fellows would be reaping in here. The problem is, though, watch out for our drinking water. We're not on the city drinking water. We're on wells and septic systems. The problem is, when you don't have enough bylaw enforcement officers to watch what's going on our way, when it's being dug, the ground's being dug and dug and dug into, that also takes away our drinking water supply. That's where our water is coming from. And then if we have a problem with that, guess what? We have to take care of it. We have to hire an engineer to come in to prove where the problem's coming from. And that, again, is wrong. We want our water protected as well as everybody else in St. John. All right? But in the same token, I'm glad we're not on drinking water. Dear God, I'm glad. I just want to save what we have, that's all. I'm sure the residents of Ladmore Lake would rather have services, though, than a tax reduction, right? If you can't give us what we need, maybe you need to look at our taxes and what we're paying. Give us a break in our taxes. But in saying that, I think we prefer to have the services than have that happen. But in all honesty, you can't charge us taxes the same as everybody else in St. John when you're allowing all these things to go on in our community. And allow the roads to not be taken care of and all these things. It's wrong. It's wrong. And I don't think it's right. Anyways, in saying that, I just have a question for the council, mayor and council tonight. And the question is, what are you going to do for the residents in Lattimore Lake? And when are you going to make changes to benefit our community? In saying this, we also believe residents in St. John should be the ones to decide where they want to build their homes. I had mentioned that already. And with all the aggregate that's been removed, again, beautiful places to build. I believe we need to get back to the basic needs of the tax-paying residents before spending our money on items and buildings that are not a basic necessity. And you know what I mean by that. You know, it cracks me up. We've got a giant police station out there that's costing us how much money? And we don't even have the police officers out in the street to take care of the druggies and take care of all the problems we have in the streets. We had our community policing officer taken away from us, too, out in Lattimore Lake. Look at the crime rates and look what's going on out there. You know, all the money you're going to spend on police officers for parking garages and everything like that. What happened to the good old days when a police officer was out in the beat with the kids and with the people out there? They got to know who was there and had someone they could trust and go to. But yet we're spending money on big fancy police stations? Who are we trying to impress here? There's something wrong here.
Ms. McGrath, I'll just give you about 2 minutes left in your 15 minutes.
Good. Then lower our property taxes, what we're saying. If you can't give us what we need out our area, lower our property taxes. That's the choice as far as I'm concerned, that you fellas have. Either give us the same as everybody else or lower our property taxes. Then we'll leave you alone. Okay. So I guess bottom line is common sense is what we're lacking as far as I'm concerned too, because when I run my home, I have to make sure that my bills are being paid before I can go to the movies or go here and go eat and do whatever I want to do for fun. Well, guess what? I think City Hall needs to be taking care of the same thing for the residents who are paying their taxes here. Take care of the basic needs first. If you've got more money after that, then go apply it to Peel Plaza or whatever you want to do. But you take care of the residents' needs first. I'm sorry. Let's work on our city as a whole instead of focusing only on the city core's needs. And God bless you all. And I'm sorry if I scared you.
Ms. McGrath, there's a question or two for you.
Yes.
Councillor McAlery has a question.
Oh, Your Worship, Odette, I just want to say thank you for your presentation. And perhaps if you have all your notes there, you might want to get into the comment